Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Out of Touch. I am your chipper and jovial and concerned host, Kai Schwimmer. So good to be with you. Got a lot to get into. I didn't realize this whole situation was going to spiral as much as it has. We have Kai Schwimmer in the chat. Not Schwimmer, Kai Schwimmer. And you know what's hilarious? I must have struck a nerve because this is this is the Nunk guy from last night's stream. So that's funny. He changed his name to Kai Schwimmer and made his profile picture Patrick Bateman. I thought the profile picture was me for a second. Had to do a double take. Somebody let me know if in the chat if I sound quiet. I should be fine. I'm looking at my audio monitoring and I sound fine, but anyway, thank you guys for being here. I am excited to get into everything. I've been thinking a lot about events that have transpired. I've been thinking a lot about different messages, different posts. Been thinking about comments made by pundits, both outside and from inside of the courtroom, people who were there and people who were not. And I think it's important to dive into all these details. And I want to preface this all by saying, I have not seen the footage. Nobody in the courtroom, as far as I'm aware, who was there invited, besides the attorneys, right, has seen the footage in question more than once. There are details that you may have not seen because you were seated at a point in the courtroom where you simply did not have a proper view of the screen that was showing the video. There was one screen available for us to view. And if you were sitting in the audience, or if you were sitting there in, the back of the courtroom or the courthouse, it was likely easier for you to even see the video looking at some of the monitors of the attorneys than looking at the monitor that was displayed on the left. I want to preface by saying that people often don't understand the context within which footage is shown. And a lot of what we'll be talking about today should be given that proper context. And I think hopefully that can go to explain maybe why there are some differing perspectives as to how damning the evidence is, as to what was seen. But admittedly, it does not explain the entirety of the disconnect. And I am here to step in and hopefully clarify some of the miscommunication that has occurred. I am here to give you my perspective, to answer all of the questions that you guys have. I'm happy to do all of that. That's why I'm here for. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to get into it and tell you guys the truth of what happened on Friday. Of course, please share the live stream. Share it to your friends, your family, your dogs, your cat, your pets. This is a little disconcerting. I left some water on this table. I put an ice cube in it. Earlier, the ice cube melted. There's a bunch of little flecks of dirt or something in my water now. Makes you think about what you're drinking. Good thing is we banned fluoride here in Utah, so we're balling. My pineal gland stays in check. Anyways, please share this live stream. Share it with anybody who has had questions, in particular about the footage that was shown on Friday, who has questions about the case. You could share it with your Candace-loving aunt and uncle, or mom and dad. You could share it with your best friend, who is part of the Candace investigative crew. You could share it with any host of individuals. Share it with your buddy who you just watched the World Cup with. I'm feeling chipper this evening because I just watched Argentina completely destroy Austria 3-1. Beautiful. And look, it looks a little sketchy at first. The Argentines, we just take a second to really get started. And people in the chat are going to go crazy with that. I'm not actually Argentine. I LARP. I'm a big LARPer. I lived there for 2 years as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I LARP a little bit. I'm not Argentine before anybody tries to claim that. Yeah, not Austria, Switzerland. My apologies. It's all Germany. It's all Germany. Okay. At the end of the day, it's all Germany. Die Schweiz, nicht Österreich. Da hast du recht. Yeah, against Switzerland. My apologies. It's not as if the players are Swiss anyway. So let's not get all pressed about that. Argentina is maybe one of the only countries where all of the players know the national anthem and sing it. It's incredible to watch some of these European nations and some of the less European players not even sing the word like their national anthem. They don't even know it. What a tragedy. But anyway, before we get too off-railed, yeah, we are enjoying the Argentine win, putting up the mate, and yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. Besides the fact that Sneeko is an omen of death. Sneeko is... Everything he touches is coal. He posts coal like he breathes. Anything he approaches, anything he comes near, it just ends in destruction, disaster, and ruin. Anything he touches is raised to the earth, but not in a cool way. More like in a coal way. If you catch my drift, Sneeko. Thank you for endorsing. Thank you for supporting anybody other than Argentina. Your opposition to Argentina has caused our victory. And a lot of people now are talking about, you have many copes. You have people coping. You have people saying the reason Argentina is playing well is because the refs are on their side. I don't know if we watched the same game today. There was plenty of yellow cards that should have been handed to the Swiss players. Who was it that got like totally stepped on? Was it Paredes? Paredes literally got stepped on. His heel got stepped on twice. No yellow card there. Like, insane. They called Messi offsides when he was like hardly even offsides. I don't know. I don't even agree with that call. Anyway, though, nobody after watching this match can say that the FIFA refs are on Argentina's side. Let's be real about that. On top of that, what is this crazy dive from the Swiss player? So glad that got caught. Oh my goodness, Glorpus. Ked's Dead sends a super chat, $2. He says, deport Sneeko. True. DHS posted, we deported this sicko. I really got excited because I thought it said Sneeko. So deport the sickos and tell it Sneeko. Anyway, yeah, the Swiss player who got ejected was totally deserved. The Swiss player who got completely ejected completely deserved it. What a crazy, ridiculous dive. That was insane. That was actually the worst dive, actually the worst flop of all time. It was ridiculous. So we're happy about that. We're happy Argentina won. Now Argentina will be facing England in the semifinals. And if they beat England, they will move on to the finals and play probably Spain. I actually think it's going to be France-Argentina again. I think we're going to have a rerun. But it's going to be very interesting. Going to be very interesting. Jude Bellingham played incredibly well. The Norwegian team really screwed themselves over. There was a really easy pass they could have made to Haaland at the very beginning that would have won them the match. They didn't make it. They're too cocky. And that cost them. And that cost them. They didn't want to give their star player time. Hey, that's fine. That's fine. It was unfortunate to see Haaland lose, but that's just how it goes. Anyways, also, yeah, if you do want to support the show, send super chats to powerchat.live/kaiclips. We'll have one of the mods put that in the chat. I don't know if Meow is around. And thank you, Deseret Fomer, as well. We'll just address these because they're in the YouTube chat. Deseret Fomer says, "Oh, Kai, forget the grand slush fund. You're a Latter-day Saint. You need a Brother Browning's 45." Dude, that's so true. I need a Colt 45. My bad. Not a Colt, my bad. I need a 45 ACP. So true. Since you served in Argentina, you need to buy a Sistema Colt Modelo 1927. Okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe it will be. Maybe a Colt's fine. Yeah. Baller. Maybe it'll be the Colt fund then. Hey, thank you. Appreciate you. Okay, Haaland did not get cheated by the ref. He launched the English player. I'm going to be honest, like, the foul was legit. That was a true foul. I'm not going to make any, I'm I don't have any pretensions about this. That was a foul for sure. But hey, still they should have won. Yeah, Holland totally threw that English player. It was insane. He did not get cheated. His teammates, though, that was ridiculous. His teammates did not want to give him the time of the day. So that's just how it goes. Oh, the ball that hit the sky cam? Oh, okay. Anyways, so what were we getting into? Yeah, when the English play Argentina, that's going to be the war for the Malvinas. If the English win, they're the Falkland Islands. But if the Argentine people win, it's going to be, once again, the Malvinas. And that's the stakes of the game. That is the stakes. So, anyway, let's dive in. Let's dive in to what everybody's here for. I need a sip of mate. I'm tired. It's been a long day. A lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, a lot of excitement. Let's pour up some mate, get the energy going, and let's talk about what happened on Friday. And I want to talk not just about what happened on Friday, but I want to do kind of a meta-analysis of all of the reactions to what happened on Friday. So Friday, and I'll give you guys the whole backup. Hold on. Nice. Oh yeah, and be sure, by the way, to share the stream, like the stream, favorite the stream, heart the stream, subscribe on Kick, subscribe on YouTube, Power Chat, Super Chat, powerchat.live/kaiclips, and yes. And that's it. Anyway, we'll dive into what's going on. I'm going to give a medal. I'm really, dude, what's going on with me? Do I have a worm in my brain? I'm going to dive into everything that happened on Friday. So I show up to court on Friday at 8:30. Court starts at 9. I enter as an invited, by extension of Erica Kirk and the TPUSA community, family. People at TPUSA knew that I'm from Utah. They know that this happened very close to where I live, that I've been following the trial. I can't read the minds of the people who invited me. All I can say is I had the opportunity. They said, hey, would you like to attend? We've got a spot. I said yes. I was not given any instructions. I was not given any marching orders. In fact, there were probably things I shouldn't have done in the courtroom, like nodding my head, that I was not told not to do. So there was probably stuff that I should have been given marching orders about, but that's to explain that I was not given any marching orders. Some people claim that I showed up with Jack Posobiec. That's not true. I showed up at 8:30. He showed up later. I walked all the way around the building, said hi to a couple photographers that I know, walked all the way around, and as I walked around, there was Jack Posobiec and Kevin Posobiec. I said hi to them both. And also, people are very upset that there's a photo going around that shows me smiling outside of the courtroom. I am a very happy person. My resting face is smiling. Everybody knows that about me. And I do not believe in this idea that if you are in proximity to a difficult, tragic, or even like terrifying event, that you can never be seen cracking a smile. I think that analysis of human interaction and human emotion is shallow, it's performative, and it's ridiculous to believe that people cannot express any kind of positive emotion during a difficult time. I think that's a ridiculous standard. Somebody took a photo of me smiling. It's not because I think that there's any levity around the situation of the assassination. It's because I was saying hi to a friend who I think had made a comment that caused me to smile. That was it. So I just want to put that out there. It is important. There should be some reverence. There should be some sincerity. I can be guilty of being too jovial. Something that's interesting. I think Joseph Smith said that same thing. He was like, I'm guilty of too much joviality, or something like that. That was one of the things he said that he is guilty of. I feel similarly. But yeah, just kind of the framing that people provide these things. I think it's a very shallow way of looking at human emotion, and I reject it. And that's something that's come up in a variety of cases now. So I show up, I go in, it's on the 4th floor, we're in the courtroom, Tyler Robinson is already there when we walk in, the judge takes some time to come out, we go in, and the majority of the beginning of day 5 of the preliminary hearing on Friday is centered around a piece of evidence that was shown to the court, or rather that was broadcast to media that should not have been broadcast. Now, basically, there's 3 ways that this evidence is going to be handled, and the judge is ruling on different pieces of evidence. There's a debate between the prosecution and the state about what pieces of evidence can have what kind of exposure. The judge will make a ruling. The judge has ruled on certain pieces of evidence that they can be shown in court to everybody that's there. That's Erica, that's Tyler Robinson's family, that's all the people invited, that's the media. He's ruled at times that everybody in the courtroom can be shown. At other times, the only people who can be shown the exhibits, the evidences, are the attorneys and the witnesses. And then at other times, the only people who, or at other times, everybody can see it. Basically, the media there in the courtroom can broadcast it, and we all get copies of, whatchamacallit, we get copies of the footage or of the exhibit or of the evidence, whatever it may be. So that's basically kind of these 3 tiers. A big part of this whole case has been the defense trying to minimize a biased jury. They don't want to put so much evidence out there that it will be too difficult for them to find jurors who are peers of Tyler Robinson, people from the county that he grew up in, Washington County, and understanding that it is already going to be difficult to find an unbiased jury in a case that is as notorious and as obviously, widely reported on as this one. The defense of Tyler Robinson has spent a great deal of time trying to minimize the amount of evidence that is provided to the public. Now, this is in very big contention with what Erica Kirk, her attorney, her legal representation, and also the state have wanted. And honestly, more than the state, it's, Erica Kirk and TPUSA's legal counsel, who, not TPUSA's, that's inaccurate to say. It's Erica Kirk. She represents the victim, who is her husband. And their legal representation has fought very strongly for a transparent and kind of open preliminary hearing, where all of the evidence that is shown in court is also shown outside of court. But even if it's not shown outside of court, at the very minimum, that Erica gets to see it. What's the point of her being there if she doesn't get to actually see the evidence herself? There is evidence that Erica does not have. It's not as if she has this perfect communication with the state where she's being fed all the information the state has. That's not the case. So I want to kind of frame that up. I want to tee that up. That's the contention that exists on this issue. And this is going to be an issue throughout. I really want it to be transparent. And for all of the people who don't like TPUSA, who don't like Erica Kirk, to anybody, I think we all can at least agree that they can agree with Erica. And I think most of us can agree that we want as much transparency as possible. It is wrong to say that Erica, or the legal representation she has, is not pushing for more transparency. In fact, when issues of transparency have come up, repeatedly he has spoken up, this individual legal counsel has spoken up and said, hey, it is the interest and it is the opinion of Erica, right, that this be shared. And Charlie's parents, even more than Erica, Charlie's parents as well, that this be shared. And the defense has to say, well, we don't want too much damning evidence to be broadcast publicly before the actual trial takes place, because it's already difficult to find a jury of peers. So that's the situation that we're in. Those are the conflicting kind of interests, and that's the problem of the evidence. Now, in some of these rulings, Judge Graff, who has not been a judge for very long, I think it's more than 50 days. People are claiming it's 50 days. From what I understand, it's been more than 50 days. He was appointed last year, I believe, by Governor Cox. Judge Graff has ruled pretty impartially. He's trying to be as impartial, as nuanced, as possible. In fact, I think there are places where he should have stepped in much more proactively, especially on Friday, than he did. But alas, he did not. And I think it's because he's being very careful not to appear biased to one side or the other. Anyway, though, you have this situation, and you have the judge who's made rulings on certain pieces of evidence, and there are certain pieces of evidence that can be shown and broadcast, and there's others that cannot. And on Thursday, there were two pieces of evidence. My understanding is they were evidences concerning the letter that Tyler wrote that was put under the keyboard of Lance Twiggs, his lover. And there was a version of that evidence which was not supposed to be broadcast. The court ordered that it not be broadcast. And there was another version of that evidence that was not kind of the primary source, but a reiteration of it or a replication of it that could be broadcast. And it should be made clear that the content of the message, the content of that piece of evidence has been public for months. Because of a search warrant, it was made available. We know what the letter that Tyler Robinson wrote in confession to Lance Twiggs says. Is alleged, well, Tyler Robinson alleged to have written it. That can all be substantiated. There are very, very competent, people who can analyze handwriting, who can analyze the calligraphy of an individual. I have no doubt that those kind of expert witnesses are going to be brought in to testify as to the veracity of the handwriting of Tyler Robinson on that note. Anyway, though, the content of the exhibit was public. The problem is that for 3.5 seconds, the piece of evidence, the version of that evidence, which was not supposed to be broadcast publicly, which was not supposed to be shared publicly, was made public. The individual operating the camera, the member of the media operating the digital camera, had it panned over to the screen, which was displaying the evidence, and the paralegal had tabbed between pieces of evidence, and one of the pieces of evidence that should not have been shown was shown for 3.5 seconds. The camera operator is the first one to identify that, pans off, but this then becomes a big issue on Friday when the defense counsel comes up and says, hey, well, the standing orders of the court have been undermined, despite the fact that it was an accident. Obviously, this thing that was not supposed to be broadcast to the world has now been broadcast to the world. There's been copies of it, versions of it disseminated everywhere. And the judge says, okay, well, what do you want me to do? And at first they're like, well, I don't know, we'll get back to you. And the judge, I like this about him. He said, no, if this is a big problem, I'd like to address it now. Tell me what you want now. After convening a little bit with the rest of the defensive counsel, the defense comes back. What is it? Mr. Novak, I believe is his name. Mr. Novak comes up and says, I'd like to revisit the standing order about media in the courtroom at all. This would have been a huge loss for transparency if the judge had ruled in the defense's favor on this item. He did not, but he accepted an alternative solution, which was not to broadcast any of what would be shown in the court on Friday, any of the evidences. And that is what happened. None of the evidences that were shown on Friday were shown to the individuals that were in the courtroom. None of the visual evidence. Audio, I believe, was there. Video was not shown. What was accidentally shown? It was a photo of the note that Tyler Robinson had written. My understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong here, it was a photo of the note that Tyler Robinson had written to Lance Twiggs that was hidden under his keyboard. That is what was shown. There were two versions of that evidence, and a version of the evidence was shown which was not supposed to be. So that's kind of setting it up. That's what went on in the early hours of Friday. Judge Graff makes his ruling. I thought his ruling was okay. But anyway, he had issued a prior ruling on a piece of evidence. I believe it was the day prior that he issued the ruling on it. Or maybe it was appealed. I'm trying to remember the exact details here. But it concerned the piece of evidence that everybody has been yelling about, clamoring about, and it was shown to us in the courtroom on Friday. This was the only piece of evidence shown to the entire courtroom on Friday. And what it was this video that depicts the movements of Tyler Robinson enhanced zoomed in, and with some alterations like circles being drawn to more obviously show his movement in the footage. People have said a lot about the quality, the level of enhancement, the level of zoom, and I do think there have been clear exaggerations of what that video shows. People have also gone and basically claimed it's a nothing burger. There are some who have said, I think Jack Posobiec and Benny Johnson were maximalist in what they were saying. They said, it's, clear as day. It is 4K. That is an exaggeration. That is not true. The footage is not 4K, as far as I can tell. But there are other people who are saying it's the exact same footage we've seen before. Now, that's not entirely true either. I hate the fact that I have to become a nuance bro about this, but it simply is the case that the footage was, yes, important and new in terms of, its ability to depict the events that we've all been talking about, but it's also, not this, end all be all, there's his face, there's his finger on the trigger, zoomed in 4K piece of evidence either. And I'll show you a couple of things. We'll dive into this, and we'll go over some of the tweets that people have been making. Brandy, what is her name? Siciliani? Is that her last name? I'm trying to remember. Let me share with you my screen here, and I'll share a couple of things. First, I'll give you an idea, a sense of there it is. I'll give you a sense of what the courtroom looks like. This is an image you're about to see, produced by Heidi Hatch. She's awesome. She is terrific. That depicts kind of the setup of the court. That's interesting. I assume it was HD 4K. It might qualify as high definition. I don't know if it's 4K. I think that's an exaggeration. Simply investigating in the chat. But yeah. Anyway, so this is kind of the setup of the court. The names, cast these out. These names are incorrect. These names are incorrect. Cast this out of your mind. You have the judge at the front. You have the state if we're sitting where the judge is sitting, to the right of the judge. To the left, you have Tyler Robinson and his two attorneys. Now, behind him, there were more attorneys for the defense. I want to be clear, that's not the state. On Friday, it was not the state. We had a bench of waiting witnesses, but there were not many. It was the police officers who had testified prior, and a couple others. And then you had the state as well behind the first row of the state here. The media jury box is correct. The court recorder is correct. You have the backroom entrance, the courtroom entrance, which we, the courtroom entrance, which we came in on. Now, rows 2 and 3 had, I believe, Tyler Robinson and individuals who were not associated with Erica or TPUSA. That was my understanding of the breakup of the room. I didn't talk to all those people. I didn't talk with many of the people behind me. I knew that directly behind me, I was seated on row 4. The numbering here is actually really inconvenient. I don't know why she numbered it this way. Row 4 was where I sat. I sat next to a man named Shane, who sat next to eventually Brandon Tatum, who sat next to eventually it was like Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec were on this row, and a couple others. The row in front of us had some friends of Erica, TPUSA. The lawyer was actually closer to the waiting witnesses on the right of the image that you're seeing now. And the front row also included, or rather row 5 included not the Robinson family. It included Erica and Charlie's family. His parents. and a couple other friends of Erica's, and some other people as well. Oh, and also on row 4 where I was seated, there were other people who there were donors, people who have been with TPUSA for a long time, and that was basically the makeup of the room. So remember, and I was sat kind of in, see, I want to see if I can I open this in a new tab? I wonder if it'll let me adjust it. I was sat, okay, you know what we're going to do actually? We're going to take a screenshot here. We're going to pull this up. Okay, perfect. Here we go. This is what we're going to do. This is better. This is better. I should have done this from the get-go. My apologies. Boom. Here we are. Okay, so I was sat right here. I'm going to put a K for Kai. That's where I was sat. The screen that we were watching, the waiting witnesses section, that's really only this row here. The screen was sat right around, I'm trying to remember if it was in front of or behind the first row of the defense. It's about here. I would say it's probably maybe like a 50-inch, 55, 60-inch TV, maybe bigger. I may not have a good sense of the size there. Oh, you guys can't even see it. My apologies. Oh, whoa. Yo, what's this? Oh, hold on. Oh, sorry, guys. There's a tear. It's the back rooms. It's the back rooms crawling through. My apologies. My apologies. My apologies. Back rooms crawling through. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to drag that. Oh, freak. Oh, freak. Okay, why can't I drag this to the side? Just let me scroll. Hold on. There we go. Stop. I don't want... See, now I can't touch anything. Why is this thing so freaking chopped? Anyway, okay, here. That's about where the TV is. And then none of these names are right, so I'm just going to cross them off. Bad, nope. That's not where they were. This is like Tyler's fam. Brandy, actually... who's, dude, that's terrible. Tyler's femme. Brandy was sat right behind me, I believe. I actually don't remember if she was. I know her friend. I don't actually recall seeing Brandy there. I saw her outside, but I don't remember interacting with her inside the courtroom. Brandy's friend, Billy, was sat right behind me. So we're going to put a B for Billy. That's where she was sat. Now, it's very important to mention, like I did at the beginning, we saw this video one time. There was a lot that I wish... Dude, what is going on with the fabric of time behind me? My apologies. The space... There's a ripple in space-time. There we go. That's better. It's very important to consider, and nobody provides any nuance to this. It's important to remember, we saw this video once in court. There's a lot that could be analyzed, that could be scrutinized, that could be better investigated watching it a second time. There are parts of the video where you're like, oh, hold on. No, where's Tyler? Oh, there he is. And you wonder if you missed something. There are times where you wanted to look at the timestamp, but you weren't because you were paying attention to other parts of the video. That was just kind of how it went. There are probably details that I did not see that somebody else did. For instance, did Tyler Robinson fire the weapon? Is he shown firing the weapon in the video? He is seen very clearly going prone. His movements are very clearly shown, and they're easier to observe than in any of the footage that I've ever seen of this. But it is still from a far enough away point that the video is shot. It looks like a security camera. It is still far enough away that I could not make out a muzzle flash, but I may have missed it. It is certainly not close enough to see like the fingers on his hand. So the idea that you can see specifically him pull the trigger, that is not true. But it is possible that there is a moment in the video where muzzle flash is seen that I simply didn't have the chance to see because I missed it because of either where I was sitting or I wasn't looking at the right part of the screen. That's something you should remember, and every single person in that room had the exact same fallible experience. We all watched the same monitor, or maybe we watched the monitors that like the state or the defense had. I mean, for me, one of my vantage points, because there weren't actually any witnesses here, one of my vantage points was looking at the screen here of the state. There were moments where I could see what was on their screen like almost better than what was over here because maybe somebody's head was like in the way. Now think if you're on the third or the fourth row, and I want to retitle this. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and that's 4. If you're on the fourth row, it's much more difficult to see this screen. You see through a glass darkly. And that is something that nobody will ever tell you. Everybody wants to act as if they have this perfect 100% recall. That's not true. I walked away saying, well, that video shows his movement really clearly. I wish kind of you would have seen more. But definitely by far the best video of the events of that day that we have. It's the clearest. It is the most zoomed in. It tracks his movement throughout. And it was basically a better version of the footage, of a lot of the footage we already have. Now, there was one thing that to me appeared authentically new. And that's what I'll show you now. I'll show this to you now. And thank you. Shout out to Heidi Hatch for showing us this depiction or creating this depiction of the courtroom. Let me pull this up. We're going to go now to the post by Brandy Siciliani. Now, Brandy said, I was in the courtroom today. There's no high-quality zoomed-in footage showing anyone taking a shot. Now, what do we mean by that? Do we mean the finger on the trigger, pulling it back? She's correct. The footage does not show that detail. But the footage shows an individual hopping over the railing, getting to a prone position, and it takes place during the time of the shot. Could very reasonably, maybe I just didn't see it, could very reasonably include the shot being taken. Muzzle flash, smoke, I don't know. I didn't catch it myself. And frankly, I'm not here to say if somebody did see that they're entirely wrong, because I'm willing to admit my fallibility. I think nobody else in this entire situation has been able to admit their fallibility. And I say that as much for Brandy as I do it for Brandon Tatum. Brandy and Brandon Tatum are in the exact same situation here where neither of them want to admit their own fallibility, the idea that maybe they didn't see something. At the same time, I can't say that either of them are necessarily, totally lying. It could be that Brandon thought he saw something, and maybe he didn't, but he's not saying it to be dishonest. I don't know. I think the point to drive home here is that nobody is willing to accept their own fallibility. This is not the end-all be-all. Anybody who is telling you this video is the end of it all, or is like, it's his face in a mugshot, basically, that's not what it is. But you should not understate the relevance and the importance of this video. If you thought the original footage of Tyler on the roof, of Tyler climbing over the railing, his ability to access the roof, if you thought any of that was relevant, and it is, this footage is a significant improvement thereon. It is the most concise, it is the most, visually clean, and the most easy to understand version of the video that exists by far. And that's just the case. Anybody saying otherwise is lying. And anybody saying it's the exact same video we've already seen is also not true. That's also a lie. The thing that I thought was authentically new, and actually we'll go here to check in a second, is that this vantage point is not the same one that we saw in the video in court. This footage, which we've all seen, which is taken from this far-off camera and shows a very far-off Tyler Robinson jumping off the roof, is not the same footage we were shown in the courtroom. The camera angle is very similar, but what the camera we saw in court captured is far more of the roof to the left, to the south, and also a far closer video of Tyler. I could much better make out the thing that he dropped as he fell to the ground, all of the rest, his departure into the woods. That was much clearer in the video that we saw. And I don't believe it was, maybe it was like a similar angle, but what we were actually shown, especially, you know, and there were portions, by the way, that cut to different segments to like zoom in on them. But one of the most kind of actually impressive parts of the evidence that we were shown of the video was earlier on. And I'm going to play this, I'm going to play a portion of this video. We'll mute it. Here we go and see this evidence, which was shown prior in the pretrial hearing, that a police officer gives a verbal description of. And this shows basically the movement of Tyler Robinson across the roof, etc., etc. Him moving to the southwest corner. The footage we had showed this more clearly. And in addition to showing it more clearly, actually showed, from my recollection, much more of what is south and to the west here. We saw the stairwell that exists next to, adjacent to, the Losi building. You see him basically standing on the side before he jumps over, before he gets over the railing and onto the building. All of that is relevant evidence because it shows more clearly, more specifically, his movement throughout. The more of his movement we have documented, the more difficult it is to say that it's not him. If you believe him in the stairwell is Tyler Robinson, and to me, it is. It looks like Tyler Robinson. It makes sense given his movements. He went through that stairwell earlier that day in a different outfit. If you believe that's Tyler Robinson and you have more footage that shows him for a longer amount of time on the roof and it's enhanced, you can make out that it's the exact same outfit. Maybe you can't make out his face, which you can't. You cannot make out his face in this point of the footage. I think you can make it out better in the stairwell footage, which is clearer as well. But if you can make out his movements and you believe that the individual is Tyler Robinson, this does seem pretty open and shut. You see his entire movement during the time of the shooting, and we also have the timestamp at the top. So anyway, we'll skip forward a little bit. This footage was also shown again, but more clear, of the car entering here at this point, of Tyler walking down, again in the shorts. It was this footage that we saw, but visually enhanced. It looked better. This footage looked better. This footage here looked better as well. And you can make out even better certain details, like his phone in his pocket or in his hands. Here, same deal. And this jump off the roof to me looked clearer in the footage that we were shown. Now here, in what we were shown, it was almost more of a composite. This stairwell here was included in the wider shot. I wonder if we'll see it. Yeah, this shot right here, it's basically as if you basically combine these two images. You combine the left, you combine the right, you see basically this kind of fluid chain of movement. And this is being described by the officer. Now, him getting up and running behind the atrium, that is also much more clear. In the video that we were shown, for instance, like what we're watching here, what was shown earlier in court, you can't really see when he gets up and runs, you can't distinguish many of his like physical features, like his appendages. Here, hold on. You see how he's just kind of like a dotted blur? In the footage that we saw, from my recollection, you can see his legs far more clearly. You have a far better kind of view of the way his body is moving. And once he gets to this railing here, that too was far clearer. You could make out parts of his body easier. This kind of mass that you see just jump down it much more clearly shows a towel, an object being thrown down. All of it was visually better. Why didn't they show this 10 months ago? Well, if you're asking that question, you don't understand how a court of law works. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? There is so much. And this, by the way, is not even like particular to this case. There's so much evidence. Think about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Why didn't they show the footage from the drones early on? Like, I mean, there's so much that you could just say, well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? The simple fact is that there's a ton of information that the police have that we are not going to see because it's being retained till later. Think about all of the pieces of evidence that we could get. We know he has a phone on him. This footage shows clearly that he had a phone consistently on him. If we get the metadata, which has been requested by the police, it will become incredibly easy in the actual trial. We're in the pre-trial, remember that. It will become incredibly easy to compare where the phone was and when. We will be able to see if he did set up an auto text to Lance. All of this information is stuff that's going to come out. But people are basically saying, both, in favor of Tyler Robinson being guilty and against, that this piece of evidence proves or disproves it all. That it's a nothing burger and everybody's a liar, or that it is going to convict him 100%. If this evidence convicted him 100%, it wouldn't be shown in the pretrial. There was a conversation about this piece of evidence because it was truly relevant and important, but it was also admitted, it was accepted because it's not like the smoking gun. Do I think there's a lot already that is enough to convict? Certainly. But does the court also recognize that, and do the prosecution recognize that they don't have to go above and beyond in the pretrial? Yes. Have they gone above and beyond? I think they have. I think they've done more than enough to build a case. But people who are treating this one piece of evidence as if the entire case rests on it, I think are really missing the point. And there's, by the way, a great deal of arbitrarity. There's a great deal of arbitrarity when it comes to evidence and what is going to bias a jury and what's not. It's like, how is knowing what's on the note that Tyler Robinson wrote to Lance Twiggs not going to bias a jury, but seeing the note will? There's a lot of weird nuances to it. That's just how it goes. But this is the evidence. Let's dive into what Brandy had said. Brandy had said, I was in the courtroom today. There is no high quality zoomed in footage showing anyone taking a shot. The video shown is the same distance as the footage of Tyler jumping off the roof shown in the screenshot. I think it looks actually, yeah, the vantage point of the camera was very similar. It looked different to me. It genuinely did. Maybe it's the cropping or the tilting or the rotation of the footage. It did look slightly different, but the vantage point was basically the same. I have no idea why people are claiming otherwise. They know the video isn't going to be released publicly, so they're misrepresenting what was actually shown in court. I don't know about that. I'm optimistic that we will get more footage public, but at the exact same time, I don't think this is just an operation to tell people it's all over. I think people are probably trying to affirm the reality that they want. I don't think it's because they're being malicious, and I don't think it's because they're obfuscating or covering stuff up. I do think that Benny Johnson exaggerates frequently. I think he has a flamboyant tendency. So what was it that he said? Let me see what Benny said, and let me see what Officer Tatum said as well. Did he post this video? Okay, we'll listen. We'll listen in. And then we'll kind of get into the meta conversation about this whole thing. Hey, Jacob Johnston, please don't swear. Please don't swear in the chat. That's your final warning.
Quality. We're outside of the 4th District Courthouse here in Utah. The Charlie Kirk preliminary murder trial just wrapped. We were there and witnessed everything. And you have to hear this because it was devastating what we watched. And the judge ruled that you can't see the high definition quality video 4K of Tyler.
That's exaggeration.
Robinson committing the murder of Charlie Kirk. but we saw it, and they played it on giant screens inside of the courthouse. You can see clearly Tyler Robinson.
And it's also like giant screens inside the courthouse. I think this is where you begin to notice kind of the verbal tendencies of people. The screen was not giant. The screen was not giant. Where I was seated, it was a little bit difficult to like see the screen.
Face. You can see crystal clear the license plate number on his vehicle,
Real.
His movements on the rooftop.
True.
You can time it up to when
Also
Charlie Kirk
true.
was murdered. And what you also couldn't see was what happened inside of the courthouse. Erica Kirk was sobbing in the arms of her mother-in-law, Charlie's mother, Mrs. Kirk. Feet away is Tyler Robinson, pale, sallow, bony, emaciated, staring at the floor.
I thought he was staring directly ahead. I didn't see him staring at the floor. But one thing is true. Tyler Robinson did not look at the footage when it was being shown. I did not see him once. And actually, part of the reason that I probably missed some of what was in the video, part of the reason that I'm not going to like spit on other people's recollection, is because I was looking at Tyler Robinson a lot to watch what his reaction was. A huge portion of my time spent in that courtroom was spent watching Tyler Robinson and watching his reactions. That to me was one of the most interesting things. And he didn't have the spine to watch the footage of the murder. He didn't have the spine. And was antisocial, did not react much to anything. Just sat there.
The whole time. Twitching and looking straight ahead, refuses to watch the video, refused to make eye contact with the family. Emotional day. The judge played all 20 minutes of the high definition security footage, and
if it was 20 minutes long, that was the fastest 20 minutes of my life.
The whole courthouse gasped when it was over. It was really tough to watch. The prosecution has a demonstrable, overwhelming case. They said that multiple times. The defense has nothing. They asked minutiae questions about DNA evidence.
Yeah, that is true. The line of questioning about the DNA was ridiculous. And that's where I wish Judge Graff would have stepped in way, way harder. He should have shut down the defense when they were trying to bring up like the validity of the evidence. That's not what you do in a pretrial. You're not there to weigh the evidence in a pretrial. I thought when the defense stepped up and did that, that was ridiculous. I thought that was super ridiculous, and the judge should have been a lot harsher. And I think because he's a new judge, he wasn't. He totally should have been harsher. Do you think he's getting the death penalty? I think he will. I will be honest, I think legally it's going to be very difficult because I don't know if you have a lot of reason for aggravated murder. Aggravated murder is the only thing, capital murder is the only thing that you can be given the death penalty for in the state of Utah. And you need aggravating factors. And typically those aggravating factors are like you have killed a political official, not like a pundit, but like an elected official. You have killed a child. You have done something grotesque or, in some way, molested or something to the body. Like, these are the aggravating factors. I think in the case, or recklessly endangering others. Now, reckless endangerment is probably the thing that they would get him on. Here's the issue. There was not even a second bullet ready to fire. That's my problem. Bolt hasn't been pulled back. Second round is not going to be unloaded. It was one shot. It was a kill. It was this cowardly assassination, and then he ran away. It doesn't look like he was going to endanger the lives of anybody else. And for that reason, I think aggravated murder will be difficult to get. But I think that the state is intent on getting it. So I think they will. And I think that case is going to be drawn out by appeals for decades. Tyler Robinson, if he is put to death by the state, will not be put to death until he is 50 years old. That is my prediction. Anyway.
But the judge was just shooing him along as we get to this 4K video reveal that will eventually be made public. It's already a case that is overwhelming against Tyler Robinson. But once you see this video, you will cast out all of the demons that have been attacking the Kirk family. It has been one of the most grotesque demonic evils that have been visited upon innocent people has happened to this beautiful family. Once you see all of the evidence that we saw today, it's over. And that's what the lawyers said today. Please pray. Erica Kirk asked us to do this. pray for a speedy trial. We have a right to a speedy trial here. It's in our Constitution. We don't have to wait years in order to get to a trial phase here. We want justice to be done. Justice has to be done in this case, and done immediately. So please pray for the Kirks. They've been through enough. Time for justice for the widow. And just a word to all the Christians out there. The Bible calls us in the Old Testament, the New Testament, to defend the widow, to defend the orphans, to provide for her, and to stand up for her. And so be a Christian.
Okay, so that's what Benny said. Let's look at what Brandon said. And I want to be clear. Like I said at the beginning, I don't agree with what Brandy said in its entirety. Now let's see what Brandon Tatum said.
You know that last video that they showed that was zoomed in? You could see it as clear as the noonday sun that he came into the facility.
True.
He climbed onto the roof.
True.
He was in a prone position.
True.
He took a shot.
True.
Ran and jumped off the roof just like the
True.
testimony showed. It was emotional to see Erica have to watch that. And to have the person who killed her husband in the courtroom, it was emotional.
Yeah, that was surreal.
It made me upset at the reality of this, because Charlie was a good man, just doing what God called him to do, and some person who had hardly any value to this world decided to take his life. Was very frustrating. But I am glad that the evidence is presented. Anybody with any kind of integrity that want to know the truth, they have access to see anything they want to see in this court hearing. It was emotional.
So
wrapped the preliminary hearings, and we're going to get the case wrapped up.
See Erica have to watch that.
All right, that's what we just listened to. Okay, so that's our situation. I don't know if there's anything else that people point to. If you guys have tweets that you'd like me to analyze, or you'd like me to give my take on as far as what other pundits have said, let's see what Jack said, Jack Posobiec. Oh, that's nice. Yo, what's this guy doing there? Hey, I know that guy. All right, Jack, come on. All right, Jack, come on. Where was the moment? This guy tweets a lot. Is this it? Hold on.
Executing Charlie. You see him take the shot. And so you've seen the video, and Blake, I know you were there, man. And it was like watching Charlie die all over again, seeing this video. It's the most damning thing I've
thanks for saying I have beautiful hair, Derek King. I appreciate you.
seen all week for Tyler Robinson. With the zoom in, it just changes everything. It's like watching a completely different video, because the one that zoomed out, you can't even see anything. This one, he walks up. It's just like the officer said earlier in the, I guess it was day one, that he walks up over the guardrail, goes down, and you could see him kind of working on something, and it's I believe that's when he was assembling the rifle.
Burger Enjoyer, is that true? Is Lindsey Graham dead? Is that true? There's no way that's real. That's not real. Hold on. Dude, that's crazy. That is nuts. Before Mitch McConnell? That's crazy. It's real. It's real. This is a big loss for Israel. I'm trying not to I mean, that's like a funny statement, which is why I'm smiling. I'm not trying to, be silly. He died. That is a huge loss for Israel. And I'm going to be honest. Again, trying to show appreciation for life, for the sanctity of life. Lindsey Graham was one of the most bloodthirsty senators ever. That is crazy. It says, the office of U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham released the following statement. On the evening of Saturday, July 11th, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham passed away from a brief and sudden illness. Senator Graham's family appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult period. That was posted by his official Twitter account. Wow. Dude. Bruh. That's going to be a big thing in South Carolina, man. That's going to, I wonder who the Republican Party puts in South Carolina. Dude. Crazy. Died of AIDS? Not impossible. He is succeeded, unfortunately, by 0 children. His one love was foreign wars, and he did not have a wife or kids. Man, that is crazy. We'll never know if Lindsey Graham was actually gay. You might find out. I think posthumously you're more likely to find out. If you mean it's over. That's actually crazy. Breaking news, everybody. Breaking news, everybody. Lindsey Graham is dead. That's not a joke. That's true. What the? Holy moly. You're hearing it here first, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Thank you. Who reported on that? Who was the guy that said that? Which one of y'all goats said that? Nate Lowry. Man, that's crazy, dude. Tough month for Grahams. Both Graham Plattner and Lindsey. 71. Mitch McConnell gets the last laugh. That is actually crazy, bro. I know I'm repeating myself, but super nuts. Well, we'll see what happens in South Carolina. And the Iran war will have one less supporter. Going to be very interesting to see what happens from this point on. It was really weird seeing him at Disney alone. Yeah, 07 Matt Lowry. May God have mercy on his soul. That is the right take. I think genuinely, the concern should be that somebody who is so bloodthirsty at many times in his life that when he meets God, that there is mercy and forgiveness and repentance. Yeah, Candace Owens next. Calling it right now. Candace Owens, Israel killed Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was about to turn on Israel. Dude, okay. I gotta tweet that. I gotta tweet that. I gotta tweet that. That's a banger. That is a banger. That is actually a banger. Okay, who posted it? Who's a good person I can quote tweet? Breaking 911. Turn on Israel. That's a gem. That's a gem. That is a gem. Sorry, I mean that's irreverent, but I mean there are sometimes gems must be posted. Some gems must be posted. Lisa the goat. Yeah, that's a gem rolled. Yeah, that's a gem rolled. And it's not even like I'm not poking fun at Lindsay. I'm as much as maybe he deserves it. I'm poking more fun at Candace, but also Lindsey Graham being like the #1 supporter of Israel in the Senate. Oh, almost doxed my chats again. Him being the #1 supporter of Israel in the Senate really is, you know, it puts it. It's a gem. It's a gem. Need I say any more? Need I say any more than that? It's a gem. Let's, okay, you know what? Dude, we're kind of way off of this now. We're kind of way off of the Charlie stuff or the Tyler Robinson stuff now. So we'll just cover Lindsey Graham, I guess, now. I really want to see, though, if my post is taking off. I want this to be like 2 million views, okay? Taylor Hansen, what's going on? Said also the video you were looking for earlier is on Frontlines. Could you send it to me? Would you mind? Oh, or link it in the chat if you can. That would be huge. Also, what did you think, Taylor, of my analysis? Like, is my recollection of the video correct? Well, you weren't there. But Charlie was turning on Israel and Candace was right, so you guys are wrong. Charlie was not turning on Israel. Turning point, when I was there last week, one of the questions was asked concerning Israel. It was affirmed Charlie was not turning on Israel. And it was affirmed in the letter that he wrote to Benjamin Netanyahu that Charlie was not turning on Israel. It is true that he was frustrated and kind of, you know, put in this rock and a hard place by the fact that many Israeli donors, many Jewish donors, had problems with criticism of Israel, and certainly with Tucker Carlson. And he was platforming Tucker Carlson. But it's not as if he stopped supporting Israel. He was frustrated with the tactics. And he was anti-Iran war, but he would have supported it. I believe he would have supported it. He would have had a reserved support of the war, something more akin probably to J.D. Vance. But it is not that he was turning on Israel. That is not correct. I don't know, Z. I think seeing the way he stacked up with J.D. Vance, I believe that he would have taken a similar position. He would have tried to minimize it, but he would have supported it ultimately because he supports the president ultimately. Gem, big if true. Yep. Thank you guys for boosting. Appreciate you. Appreciate you very much. Dude, Twitter's not going to be nice to Lindsey Graham. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that. Twitter is not going to be nice to Lindsey Graham. That is so crazy, though. You never imagine, man. Dude, bro. Bruh. Oh, brother. Yeah, dude. He never got to see the total obliteration of Iran. Lindsey Graham never got to see 100,000 more dead foreigners. That's crazy. You put Owens. You put Owens instead of Owens? Did I really? Did I really? How did I do that? That's crazy. I was being like, I think I was going to say like Candace Owens' stream, but that wouldn't have been correct either, because it would have been Candace Owens'. Anyway. Lindsay doesn't care about anyone dying because he doesn't have kids. Real. Good catch. Hey, good catch, guys. Good catch. Thank you. There's no way you're reading that those tweets that fast. There's no way you're reading them that slow. There's no way you're not reading them that fast. Dude, it is Rhinos. Rough season for Rhinos. Crazy stuff, dude. Brennosh, you missed it. We were literally breaking the news here. You would have found out earlier if you would have just been on the stream, but unfortunately you're disloyal. Unfortunately. Anyways, let's just address the super chats because we've got some that we haven't gotten to yet. And here, hold on. Yeah, at this point, let's just like... At this point, let's just get to the super chats. Stream's been going for a while anyway. Oh, hold on. There we go. Okay, and actually, I'm gonna be so honest. What if we just move on to this? Yeah, you know what? We're just gonna move on to the we're just gonna move on to like a more chill format. If there's anything else, oh no, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not actually. No, we're not, because there's something else I wanted to address. No, we're not. I got breaking news, Kai. Look, what happened? What happened? The Rhinos won the Kirk case. The Kirk case isn't over. The Kirk case hasn't, dude, freaking started. It's not even in trial yet. Come on, dude. We're in pre-trial. We need to address the elephant in the room. We're going to go and we're going to jump from Lindsey Graham. We're going to jump over to Candace. We're going to jump over to Candace Owens. And we are going to see what she said about Erica Kirk. Let's see here. There's a specific tweet I'm looking for. Maybe I'm not going to be able to find it. I think you guys, even if we don't find the tweet, I think you guys will understand the point that I'm making. So let me make that point. Before we jump to our super chats, let me make a point which is very important. And this concerns actually as well. This concerns the people talking about the footage. The people talking about the footage, the people who are saying that we are rushing prematurely to cast blame on Tyler Robinson. Those people with far less evidence than we have for Tyler Robinson have claimed 4 months that Erica Kirk was responsible for the assassination of Charlie, her husband. The same people who have been vehement, like Candace, in defending Tyler Robinson, the man who is the primary suspect, the prime suspect in this case, in this assassination, have, with not even 100th of the evidence, accused ad nauseum Erica Kirk and TPUSA for the death of Charlie Kirk, or of the death of Charlie Kirk, of his assassination. They've claimed that they were behind it. That is a huge issue. I have never and will never tell anybody that it is not okay to ask questions. I ask questions. I'm looking in, for instance, to the construction that was done at UVU right after his death. That looks fishy, certainly. Did I say Tyler Russell? I mean Tyler Robinson. My apologies. I do not think there is any problem with asking questions. But when people begin to come to me and claim that Tyler Robinson is like an upstanding individual, when they try to claim that he's innocent, when I look at the YouTube comments of the trial and I see people saying that he's just a poor kid who's a patsy, that's when it goes way too far. You understand, although we believe in an idea of innocence until guilt is proven, that does not mean that you refuse to acknowledge that there are prime suspects. What are people saying about Luigi Mangione? Do you not think that Luigi Mangione killed Brian Thompson because his face wasn't in the video, because the footage wasn't 4K? Does anybody not believe that Luigi Mangione killed Brian Thompson? Do you know how many murders have occurred without clear footage of an individual's face in the exact frame that they kill somebody, and you still get enough evidence to convict them? Do you believe that all of those convictions are wrong? Do you believe that it is wrong to even investigate a prime suspect? Do you believe it's wrong to think that somebody is guilty? It's not. Why, besides that, do people think there's a problem with Erica Kirk being interested in transparency and addressing a narrative concerning this assassination if she herself now, by voices on the internet, is being accused of the murder of her husband? If I was being accused of murdering one of my, beloved family members, yeah, I would probably want to get ahead of that and talk to people and say, hey, that's ridiculous. But now anything that she does is seen as incriminating, despite the fact that there is infinitely more evidence to accuse Tyler Robinson of the murder than to accuse Erica or TPUSA. And I'm not saying that to glaze her, to glaze TPUSA. I'm saying that to ask people to reflect on their biases. It is okay to say that you think there are inconsistencies in the case of Tyler Robinson, but you must admit that there is infinitely more evidence to convict Tyler Robinson than to convict Erica Kirk. DNA evidence on the weapon, turning himself in, writing a letter to Lance Twiggs, Lance Twiggs testifying under oath, under penalty of perjury, that Tyler Robinson confessed to him, sent a message to him, wrote the letter. We have the text messages. We will soon have the metadata of where Tyler Robinson's phone was. We could probably trace the purchase that he made at the Chick-fil-A, assuming he did it with a card. We know about the Dremel, which he had prior, that he stated to Lance Twiggs that he would use to carve bullets. I mean, what's going on? We're going to have the sworn testimony of the sheriff that helped turn him in. We'll likely get testimony from Tyler's parents. Would any of that be enough? And then ask yourself, if none of that is enough, how is any of the stuff that you used to accuse Erica Kirk, how does that weigh heavier than everything we have for Tyler Robinson? And also, if you want to use any of the evidence to cast doubt If you want to use the footage of Tyler Robinson in the stairwell to say that's not him, then you better not throw out any of the other evidence. You can't just pick and choose what evidence is relevant and what isn't. If you think the evidence falls in your favor, you can't just say the other evidence that isn't even relevant. You don't get to pick and choose your evidence like that. And any of the evidence, most of the evidence rather, not any, but most of the evidence that people are using has been produced by the state. And there's so much more evidence that they have that we are not in possession of yet. And I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of glad. As much as I want transparency, I also don't want stupid idiots. I don't want retards, people who suffer mental retardation. I'm using the term in its clinical sense. I don't want those people to have access to information that they have never learned how to filter or interpret. That is honestly, more than anything else, the problem today. It is that you are given millions of pieces of information every single day, and you have never learned how to filter through it or interpret it. You don't know how to weigh evidence. You don't know how to interpret it. You don't know how to find it. You don't know how to research. You don't know how to do anything. You don't know how to think consistently. And I'm not saying this about every single one of you. I think many of you do. But when you have people who are willing to convict Erica Kirk and unwilling to say that, hey, look, yeah, Tyler Robinson is the prime suspect, most things point to his guilt, including himself, then you're not a serious person. And before anybody says, that's not me telling you can't have questions. If you pursue the truth, and you pursue the truth over everything else, that is all I ask. But if you are willing to suspend your pursuit of the truth to run with a narrative that's more interesting despite the lack of evidence, if you are willing to shift the goalposts to wherever they need to be to justify the theory that you have, then you're not honest. If you don't ever believe anybody who gives a sworn testimony because it goes to contradict what you believe, then I just can't listen to you, because at some point your claims will become unfalsifiable. You haven't even seen the evidence yet? I've seen a lot of the evidence. I have. I've talked to you about the evidence that I've seen. Hawaii Five-O Groiper, I think you got to get with the times. Tell me, who was it? Who killed Charlie Kirk? You tell me. Give me one theory. Give me one name, one idea that has more compelling evidence, and I mean evidence, than the idea that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Yes, he did die, Noor. Lindsey Graham did die. We've all celebrated and cried all our tears of joy and of sadness, depending on who you ask. Okay, guys, we got to juice this tweet a little more. I love you guys for reposting. Yo, thank you. Shout out Ronak. Shout out Burger Enjoyer. Godzilla Groiper. Shout out Einzid La Creb. What the freak is that? Furious Pete. Sojourner. Not Zoomer MTE. And Fire Falcon. Thank you guys for boosting. Definitely not Tyler Robinson. I didn't ask you who definitely did not do it. I asked, produce a single better prime suspect. Produce a single better prime suspect. And until you do, I'm going to go with the prime suspect that we have. Did you just not hear what I said? Did you just completely just reject it, contradict it? Do you not understand those words? JFK? You think JFK killed him? Yo, thank you, Lisa, as well. Why not go into a space? Is Diligent doing a space right now? Should we talk with him? The problem is I feel like he just makes stuff up. Anyways, Hawaii bros. Yeah, dude. Hawaii bros. Literally. Hawaii, you're still not answering. Why are you not answering? You probably think the Earth is a sphere. I think you're trolling. I think you're genuinely trolling. Hey, Kai. Lindsey Graham just passed away. Thoughts? What's up, Chip? Yeah, we just talked about it. I don't, I try to be very respectful in cases of death. He was a warmonger. He was a war hawk. I'm not going to miss him in the Republican Party. I hope that he has repented of moments of bloodlust, and we're praying for him. We're praying for his soul. I'm not trolling you, just have no clue what you're talking about. I think you're a nice guy, but this ain't it. Okay, Hawaii, I want to be so sincere, man. I understand what you're saying. I understand that you disagree with my theory. Just give me yours. I'm operating under Occam's razor. I'm saying, look, there's a wealth of evidence that says that Tyler Robinson, at the very least, is our prime suspect. Who else would it be? And who else has a comparable amount of evidence that points in their direction? I have asked that 3 or 4 or 5 times now. Why can't you answer it? And if you can't, if there is nobody else, then what do? You go with your prime suspect. You continue following your lead. Noor says the Charlie Kirk preliminaries is what any prosecutors would only dream of. They'd literally be salivating over the amount of evidence and surveillance and metadata. I'm confused how half Americans... Anyway, I think it was in Israel's favor to take him out. He was losing debates too much, and it makes sense to just take him out and stop the discussion altogether. Chat, I'm sorry. Chat, I'm sorry. You know, that's probably what they did to Lindsey Graham, huh? That's probably what they did to Lindsey Graham. He was just like bad optics, and Israel just killed him. It doesn't matter that he runs an organization that still promotes, for the most part, or at the time, for the most part, promoted a pro-Israel message. It doesn't matter that he was the most influential conservative. He was pro-Israel. It doesn't matter that he talked with Blake Neff specifically about, getting information about the longer history of the wars in the Middle East, including with Israel, so that he would better debate on the subject. It doesn't matter the fact that he was literally writing to the Prime Minister of Israel about how he could better defend Israel. I don't know, maybe Bibi Netanyahu took that personally and just axed him. Is that what you're saying? Dude, Goyim are beyond saving. I'm sorry, Chad. I'm sorry for entertaining that line of questioning. Hawaii 50 Groiper says, admit that now you and Nick are running cover for Israel under the guise of being sensible. This couldn't have gone better for Israel. What are you even talking about? 50% of the people on Instagram, Twitter, any social media are listening to a deranged woman who says that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. You think this went good for Israel? You think this is a plus for Israel? Do you think there is more or less pro-Israel sentiment post-Charlie Kirk? What are you even your own argument makes zero sense, dude. What? Now anti-Semites look nuts, dude. It went so good for them. You look nuts. No. Actually, hold on. Mirror. Hey, mirror check. Now bro says, now anti-Semites look nuts. It went really good for them. Mirror alert. Hold on. Go to your bathroom literally right now. Look in the mirror, please. Have you ever seen a mirror in your life? Hawaii just exposed you. Dude, he's spiking my cortisol. I gotta stop letting this happen to me. I gotta stop letting this happen to me. Holy moly, dude. Holy freaking moly. Hawaii 50 says, agree to disagree, man. You are a nice guy. Thanks. I appreciate that. Dude, yeah. Dude, I'm kind of nervous now. If I go do the pick up the mic tour and I lose a debate, I'm just going to get killed. They're just going to like straight up kill me now. That's the stakes. In the Big 26, if you lose a debate, they straight up kill you. In the Big 26, if you lose a debate publicly, you get killed. Oh my flipping goodness, bro. Eating a burger with no honey mustard. Eating a burger with no honey mustard. All right, we're going to get to the super chats. Woo-wee. Goodness freaking glorpus. Okay, we're going to super chats now. We can't do any more of that. I can't do any more of that, and I got to go to bed and maybe play. If Meow is still up, I'm going to play a single match of Siege. And then I will go to bed and I will go to church tomorrow. Yo, what the? Holy moly. Holy freaking moly. $250 from the GOAT Gadfly.
$250, you are wasting your time convincing conspiracy-minded people of the truth. Truth you just
You're right.
Fix.
Gadfly, you are right. Gadfly, you are right. And you know what's funny? It's that they probably think that they are the Gadfly. They probably think they are the Gadflies, but they are not. They are not. You are not. They are not Socrates. Anyway, thank you so much for the huge super chat. Yeah, I agree with you. And this is where the argument comes in. It's like, I was realizing this today. It's that people are willing to convict Erica, to convict Israel, to convict... And I don't like Israel. I have never, ever in any of my online media ever, like, made a positive video about Israel. That almost sounds, like, really bad. Then it sounds like I'm, like, just, you know, dedicated to hating them no matter what. But I've never put out pro-Israel content, ever. And now I've got people saying I'm a Zionist shill. Do you even know who I am? Half of the people who do follow my content saw me on Michael Knowles with Steve Dace. And what side do you think I took on that issue? It's going to be so nice when this new Jubilee episode comes out and I can just take a photo of the thumbnail and I can say, yeah, you think I'm on that side? Okay, check out the thumbnail of this Jubilee video and see which side I'm on. Anyways, Gadfly, thank you so much. And it's, yeah, my point of realization is, look, if you are willing to take so much less evidence to convict somebody and then refuse all of the evidence that leads to the other prime suspect, then you're just not being reasonable. I'm not, dude, how am I running cover for Israel, bro? And I'm not, I'm gonna just tune you out. I'm tuning you out. Should Kai get a mullet or does he have a mullet? I've got a mullet. I've got a mullet. Thank you though, Gadfly. Thank you so much. We got a super chat. Dude, J Loma sent 3 super chats. All of $5 each. He sent 3 of them. It's save me, Kai. Got a female pilot. I'll be praying for you, big guy.
J Loma sent $5. Save me, Kai. Got a female pilot.
Praying for you, Patriot. Thank you so much, Kex Dead, for the super chat. He said, way to show respect to the death of an op. Classy. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I try my best. I'm trying my best, actively. And if you guys are not subscribed, by the way, on Kick, subscribe on Kick. I want to get monetized there. I want to start doing more content on Kick. I want to go crazy style. Start doing more there. Report the mullet to BYU. Please don't do that. That actually happened. It's not that long yet. It's not even that long yet. Chill. Randy Ditchards, thank you so much for the 50. My resting face is a smile. Dig it. Lol, you're a good man, brother. Hey, Randy, I appreciate you. You're a good man, too. You are a good man. You know what it takes? You know, to go out of your way to say something positive says a lot about a person. I really appreciate you. Thank you, man. That does mean a lot. I appreciate you. Who's going to replace the Jenna lady from South Carolina? See, that's what I was wondering. I wonder what the Republican Party is going to conjure up. I mean, now we've got an open primary, a special election. I wonder if they'll hold a special election. I imagine they have to, don't they? I'm not sure. Maybe not, because it's like we're pretty close to the elections already. Gonna be nuts. Yeah, thank you so much, though. And then thank you again, Kalaine, who said, Jack Posobiec was a legend. I wonder if he's raising expectations for the footage a bit. Yeah, I believe so. Conor McGregor, by the way. Very unfortunate what happened there. Very unfortunate what happened there with Conor McGregor. I didn't see it, but I heard it was very unfortunate. Do you think Mitch McConnell is dead? Most likely. It is not good to vaunt over dead men. Odysseus, not Matt Damon. Real, bro. Holy freaking moly. I'm tired, man. I think, guys, we might need to start calling it, because it's sleepy time. I'm kind of mad hungry. I kind of want to go out and get food. I know I shouldn't do that. I've been eating like crap lately, but I kind of really want some food. Man, it's such a tough decision. I've got food here. I'm just going to eat the food I have here. I'm going to be responsible. Hawaii Groiper once again says, not to mention you have a substance abuse problem. First of all, it's 2 with 1 O. It's not to mention, not to mention. You have a substance abuse problem, drinking mate constantly. I promise you I've never in my life abused mate. Okay? This substance has never been abused. It has been appreciated. It has been loved. Not ever, ever abused. Anyway, guys, hey, let's see who we've got in the chat. Let's say our goodbyes. Let's say our goodnights. Thank you, Mamba, Absolute, Burger Enjoyer, Hawaii, even Hawaii, Body Bag Boxa, Jack Gumbo, It's P Night, Meow, Second Honkler. Who else we got here? Thank you guys for being in the chat. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being on the Kick Chat. Thank you guys so much for being on the Kick Chat. Meow, let's run it. Let's run one. I'm so serious. And thank you, Noor, Camilla Milla, Solar Filmed, Hawkeye Void, Seth the Humble, Lisa P. Frampton, Gracie Ann. Dude, the girls are showing up in the YouTube chat. Kenny Yates, Fire Falcon, Brenash. Did I say Seth already? Hi Ty. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Cartruth, Cottonide. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Gadfly. Giant freaking amazing donation. Huge style, epic style, awesome style. Wadfly in the chat, please. Thank you for the dono. Thank you for the support as well. J-Lo Ma. Love you so much, big guy. It was great to see you. And great to be with all of you guys. Thanks for bearing with me in this episode of Out of Touch. Unfortunately, for today, no, you know what? We're not yet out of time because tomorrow is Sunday, which means we have to read a scripture. We always read a scripture. And you know what we're going to read? We're going to read 2 Kings. 2 Kings 6:16. This is the scripture of the day. And it says, and he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. It's honestly We could do better than that. We can do better than that. It was good. Good verse, but we can do more than that. You know what, dude, what is Sean freaking Crossan saying? You know what we're gonna, you know what we're actually going to, you know what we're gonna read actually? We're gonna read from Second Nephi. Banger. 2 Nephi 25:20. And now, my brethren, I have spoken plainly that ye cannot err. And as the Lord God liveth, that brought Israel up out of the land of Egypt, and gave unto Moses power that he should heal the nations after they had been bitten by the poisonous serpents, if they would cast their eyes upon, or if they would cast their eyes unto the serpent, which he did raise up before them, and also gave him power, that he should smite the rock, and the water should come forth. Yea, behold, I say unto you, that as these things are true, and as the Lord God liveth, there is none other name given under heaven, save it be this Jesus Christ, of which I have spoken, whereby man can be saved. And that's so true. And every single thing has been a type of Christ, a symbol for Christ, since the foundations of the earth. The serpent raised up on a staff, that is a symbol of Christ on the cross, and you need only look up to it to be healed. And many times, because we are too prideful, we don't look up. We don't look at Christ. But I promise, every time you do, you have the chance to be healed, spiritually, physically, and otherwise. Love you guys so much. It's been a great time being with you. Unfortunately, for today, we are out of time. We will see you in the next episode. Adios.